The Shepnaz Podcast begins now.
Welcome to the Shepnaz Podcast. I'm Joe, and I'm your host today for
Worship Wednesday.
Yes.
Ooh, the best.
So now Noah is living the married life.
He's living it.
Apparently.
So proud of you. He did it.
Yay.
Yay.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, here's the good news. It's going to keep going like that for the rest of your life.
That's what I've heard. I've heard it's easy now. I've done it.
Yep.
The work's done.
Yeah. Just dive in head first, baby.
Yep.
Nice. All right. So we have with us, of course, the newly married Pastor Noah Burris and Pastor Zack.
Howdy.
And you've kind of been working on a new thing in the background of what you thought, we would do.
Yep. I have been seeking the Lord and spending lots of time in my prayer closet and asking God what he wanted for us today. And he just downloaded some new insight into my mind and my heart. And so I'd like to introduce you to a brand new segment called Getting to Know Zack and Joe. Yay! A brand new segment for all of us here today. And man, let me tell you, it's going to be glorious for all. So welcome to the episode where we get to dive in and get to know the three of us on this podcast on a little bit deeper level today.
Yeah, if anybody wanted that, sure.
It's here. It's here. The people want it. Trust me.
No, okay.
The Lord told me. So, I got a list of 10 questions here, and I don't know if we'll have time to get through all 10.
Wow, 10.
10, yeah.
All right. You have been working on this.
It's funny. Every once in a while, I do something.
Okay.
It's crazy. So, I'm going to ask a question, and I'd like the three of us to answer it and just let the people know where we're at. Help them get to know us on a personal level. They either just see us on YouTube or they hear our voices talking. Now it's time to get down to the nitty gritty. Who are we?
Okay.
Who is Joe? Who is Noah? Who is Zack?
Yep.
And that's what we're here to do. We're going to have some fun today.
Nice. All right.
Does that sound good?
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, whoever would like to answer the first question.
By the way, these questions have not been vetted, so
they're
we're
not.
hearing it at just the same time that you're hearing it.
That was intentional. I didn't want to give a ton of time.
All right.
I want this to come off the cuff. Come
definitely.
off the cuff.
That's the way I do it.
So, question number one: if you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
Besides Jesus?
Jesus is a historical figure.
Oh, really? You're going to let him use Jesus?
I mean, if he wants to, but it's kind of a cop out.
Okay.
But
It's a cop out to have dinner with Jesus.
yeah, that might have sounded bad. But you have to explain why. So, you going first with your Sunday school answer?
Good, Joe.
Oh. So, I mean, I think, yes, I would definitely want to have dinner with Jesus.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do feel like maybe that's the easy way out on this particular one.
It is indeed.
So who would I like to have dinner with? Oh, are we talking about Bible characters or any historical
figure? Does not necessarily have to be a biblical character.
Well, I would kind of like to have dinner. I'm not sure which. All right. But when I was a kid, I was a pretty big fan of Thomas Edison.
Yeah.
Because I think of, I know it sounds weird.
That's so random.
It is.
But when I think of Joe, it's not. It's not random coming from Joe.
But just because, what a creative mind.
Exactly.
To be able to think of things that didn't previously exist. And it's what? We could do this. Yeah. It would probably be between him and Tesla, maybe, because I would say when I was, a little more naive as a youngster, I thought Thomas Edison was the hero. And now as an adult, I find out that maybe he wasn't so much. Maybe Tesla was. So
Yeah.
maybe I would have dinner with the two of them and like
Let them hash it out.
Let me, convince me which one of you is the real deal.
Touche.
Maybe.
That would be an interesting dinner.
But it would be, just because of like all the things that we use in modern life really can be traced back to the two of them.
100%.
Pretty much. So
100%.
I think that would be an interesting,
Yeah.
interesting dinner.
It's a great answer. Great answer. Noah?
Hmm.
Dun, dun, dun.
Her name's Rachel.
So
He will have dinner with her.
I have so many running through my
Oh
head.
boy, you only can
All
have
right.
one.
Well, you pick
can only have one.
Probably somebody like Martha Washington.
Wow.
Oh.
You thought mine was random.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
you just pulled a name out of a hat.
yeah. Probably Martha Washington.
Why?
You never know what she would say. We don't know anything about her. Well, her husband's the first president. He seemed to be a little weird.
Okay.
If you go to the museum, you're kind of like, there's a wackadoo. Donkey teeth, probably. I'm pretty sure he had donkey teeth.
Yeah.
Or was it whale tusk?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm making
For the longest time, I thought they were wood. So
No, also
Yeah,
wooden teeth.
yeah. Probably Martha Washington.
Nice. Interesting.
Just to see that perspective of history, what that was like for her.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. I also have many running through my head. I personally think I would love to have dinner with Billy Graham.
Oh.
I would love to pick the brain of Billy Graham for many reasons, but specifically, one of my favorite things about Billy Graham was when he was hanging out. What president was it? Clinton?
Well, he's hung out with all of them while he was alive.
It was during the Monica Lewinsky scandal.
Well, that would be him.
Yes. So, just putting all the pieces together now. I'm really good at history.
That's Bill.
But one of my favorite quotes that I've ever gotten is, so many people in the religious world are like giving him so much garbage for hanging out with them.
Yeah.
And they're like, why would you hang out with such a terrible person? Blah, 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 blah. And his response, and this is why I want to hang out with him, because a lot of what he said in these big situations was very simple. Like, he was an extravagant preacher, but like his response to a very big issue was so simple. He said, well, it's God's job to judge. It's the Holy Spirit's job to convict, and it's my job to love. And that's what I'm here to do. And I just want to like sit down with him and be like, tell me everything about that statement.
Yeah.
Because he was just living out what he was telling people to do. So I would love to just have dinner with him.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
That's question number one.
Question number
Question
one. And
number
of course,
two.
as we're going through these, we
Yes.
would love for you guys to comment or
100%.
email us, and you give us your list of answers to
100%.
the questions.
Yep.
All right.
We wanna know.
Number two.
Number two, what's a hobby or activity you've always wanted to try but haven't yet?
Skydiving.
Skydiving. You've actually talked about that a lot.
Yeah, I do want to go.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Is it going to happen?
I think so. He won't go with me, so
No way.
I don't want to go alone. I feel like it's something I should encounter with somebody.
You have a wife now.
Hey.
That's true.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, you brought this up for your 21st birthday. I think you were 19 when you said this. On your 21st birthday, you wanted me to take you skydiving.
And you didn't.
And no, and I never will. Because that sounds like my personal
Oh, it sounds
purgatory.
so
That sounds
fun.
terrible. No way. But good for you. Because I got nothing to do with that.
I'm at a definite disadvantage because I'm older than you guys. So, like, I'm to that point in life of just about everything I've wanted to try, I've tried.
Touche.
So,
Have you skydived?
I have not. I've done a few things. I don't know that skydiving is one of them that I would want to do. Although I would do it. I mean, I would.
Not me. No
But
way.
I don't think that's like on my list. I think as far as like kind of a regular hobby of something that I don't do that I would kind of like to be a regular hobby would probably be like hiking more.
Yeah.
I think I would like to do that more.
Yeah.
And I'd like that to be a hobby of mine.
Getting out in nature, exercising. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I have always had an interest in like wood carving and woodworking. I love when somebody can take a blank piece of wood and using a sharp piece of metal turn it into something beautiful. It's something I've always wanted to try and I've never done. So that's something I would do.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on. Number 3. If you had to describe yourself only using 3 words, what would those words be? This one's a little tough.
Wow. Can we go around the room and like we name each other?
Ooh, that's a good idea. That's actually a great idea, Joe. Let's do that.
All right. Rather than.
So who needs to start, though? That's the question. Do we just go this way? You do me, I'll do Noah, Noah does you?
All right. So I'll do you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So you are energetic.
Agreed. Most days.
You are genuine.
Thank you.
And I would say charismatic.
Thank you. Yeah. I would agree with those things. I would agree.
Wrong.
All right, Noah. Noah, how would I describe Noah?
I feel like I'm in like a group family therapy session.
Yeah, me too.
Name 3 good things about each other.
Terrible at picking up your phone. Oh, shots fired. I'm just kidding. I won't start with that one, but it is true.
He's a ring ignorer.
Yeah. I've only called Noah like 100 times and he won't pick up. It's fine. I still love you. Talented. I would definitely say talented. And not just musically. You're a talented person. You're a passionate person. Like when you get into something, you go all in on it and you care much about it. And either loving or caring, I think either one of those words. When I look at what you do and the way that you interact and treat people, I would say that you are just a very caring person and that you care about others.
Yeah. I was going to say like servant. That was kind of like, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I
Kind
think
of along those lines.
Yeah. Think of what you do with the homeless community, what you're doing at Jordan's, and then even, all that you do for the church. I think you really care about people.
Here it comes.
All right, Mr. Joe.
Yeah.
I would say thoughtful.
Okay.
I feel like you think of everything most times.
I try.
In meetings, it's kind of, you're the one who's like, yeah, we need to think about this. Very hardworking. You're pretty much, I don't know all you do, but what I do know you do is a lot of stuff.
Yep.
And that and you're honestly just I feel like smart is not the right word, but like
That's probably not.
smart. Smart. What's like a better word than smart?
Genius.
Like you're just like kind of like brilliant thinking. Like your mind thinks brilliantly. To me,
That's
just
very kind.
the way your mind works with just tech stuff with is just on another level.
Yeah. There's people that know a lot about a few things, and you know a lot about a lot of things.
Yeah. Very true.
So
Very true.
We shouldn't let this out.
Don't call Joe. He doesn't get it. I love it. All right. Next question. What's the best trip you've ever taken and what made it special? Best trip you've ever taken and why was it special?
I went to Puerto Rico on a mission trip.
Nice.
And that was honestly my intro to one of the things we did was went into a low income neighborhood and hanging out with people and getting them to come to a VBS. We held a VBS at a church and we're picking up kids and talking to parents and that was kind of my first. Even though we live, close to impoverished neighborhoods in Columbus, never went there or never thought about it. So that was my first insight to, wow, this neighborhood looks a lot like one that I know where it is, and I can be a difference there. And so, Puerto Rico was cool. I enjoyed that.
That's awesome.
hands down, it would have to be my honeymoon. So like, and it wasn't because it was an extravagant, like big trip, you know, like we stayed in Ohio. Okay. But it was like there's just a lot of the moments of that whole like extended weekend kind of a week was just, you know, stuff that's burned in my brain forever. We like I had set up, she didn't want to have any part of figuring that out. That was going to be my thing. And so like, and we were very young, like 20 years old. Yeah. So like we wanted to go do fun stuff. And I can remember us like ditching out on our own wedding reception pretty early and like waving, see ya, you can stay if you want. But yes, we were riding off in my Hyundai Excel. So it was, you know, quite a ride at the time. Stick shift, by the way, for those of you that have never seen one of those before. And we went up to Aurora, Ohio, and that's we spent our first night there and got up the next morning, and we spent the day at SeaWorld, which was a thing back then. Yeah. And then after that day, we drove up to Sandusky, and we ended up going to Cedar Point, and then we went out on to Kelly's Island, and we tent camped on the island.
Nice.
And while we were, you know, like making our rounds. And we had ended, both Susan and I, when we got married, had been living in each other's parents' house, you know, before we got married. So like we were getting married and moving out of our parents' houses at the same time. So we had got an apartment before we got married. We had a lease on it, but we couldn't get into it until after Labor Day, and we were getting married at the end of August. So there was like a night or two that where we really didn't have a place other than what we were doing on our honeymoon, and so then we just showed up at my parents' house, and we didn't tell them ahead of time. We just set up a tent in their backyard.
That's awesome.
And so we tent camped in my parents' backyard. They saw us, the tent out there in the morning. And so they, you know, thought they would just play along and brought breakfast out to the tent. That was nice. And then we went straight into a Bible and missions conference where we were also tent camping for like 3 days straight.
So you were homeless for like a couple weeks.
So it wasn't until we got done with that on Labor Day, then we came back and we actually moved into our apartment.
Nice.
But yeah, it was a very memorable trip. We had a blast.
Awesome. That's awesome.
All right, yours?
Yeah, for me, it was also a mission trip. I was in 8th grade going into 9th grade and went to Peru on a mission trip, and there was 3 things that stuck out the most. I got to cross off a bucket list item on my life to-dos. I got to climb a mountain, which was like I wanted to climb the top of a mountain. And so there was one day we did an excursion to Machu Picchu, and you could either take the tour of the ruins or hike the trail. And there was only 2 of us that were like, we want to hike the trail. And so it took us the entire day to climb to the top of Mount Machu Picchu. And there's actually a picture hanging in my office from the top of Mount Machu Picchu looking down on the city of Machu Picchu. And it was just one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen. You know, everywhere you look, there's just mountains, and it was just gorgeous. But there was something I was like, I've always wanted to do this in my life, and I got to do it. So that was rad. But the thing that stuck out to me the most was the generosity of people. While we were there was 2 incidences. We went to, I can't remember the names of the villages that we were in, but we were in like a mountain village, and like they were just staying in like mud huts, and they had nothing. I mean, these people had nothing. And we put on a little VBS camp, and we invited the kids and, you know, taught them dances and did Bible stories and did all that. Or this one little girl came up to me at the end, and she handed me a rock that she had painted, like a little doll. Like it just had like little, you know, just looked like a doll that she had painted on a rock. And she kept handing it to me. I was like, oh, that's cute. And I kept handing it back. And she'd shake her head and give it to me. And like, oh, I love it. Thank you. And give it back to her. And what I've learned was she was giving me this rock. She wanted me to take it. So I pulled over the translator and I was like, you tell her that, like, no, this is hers. She can keep it. And this was like the only toy she had. Like they had nothing. But she was so grateful that we came and did this camp and taught her about Jesus that she wanted to give something to us. And this was the thing she had to give.
Wow.
And she gave it. So I still have that at my house in a little lockbox that I keep to remind me of that. In a similar way, there was another village we were in. I got sick as a dog. So they tell you, don't drink the water because you'll get sick. What they don't tell you is don't eat any of the fresh vegetables that are also washed in this water and grown in this water. And so I got so sick, like ended up in a sketchy Peruvian hospital with a needle the size of a baseball bat in my arm. Like it was terrifying. And so I'm sick and we went to this one little...
This is your best trip, right?
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you why here in a second. I'll tell you why. So I was sick as a dog, could not eat anything that I ate. Stuff happened. And we went to this one, the only way I know to describe it is like a compound. It was like this little walled in community. And they had baked chicken for us. And I was like, I can't not eat. Like if I do, it'll be bad. And so the translator came over, was talking to the owner of this complex or whatever. And they're like, oh, come with us. And they like put me in the only room in this whole village that had air conditioning. And they like made up a bed for me and like, just come rest. But they kept insisting, like, here's your food, here's your food, here's your food. And I didn't know how to tell them, like, if I eat this, you will see it again. Like, this is not good. But what I found out is that, with these bigger trips, like they'd planned it out a year or two in advance. And this village knew we were coming. And so they had raised these chickens for us.
Wow.
So like they knew exactly how many people were coming a year in advance. And so they would hatch these chickens and raise them specifically so that they would be the best eating chickens for their guests to come. And so eventually the translator came in, they're like, hey, you at least have to try it because they literally raised this for you by name. Like, because they cared that much that you were coming.
Okay, so, this is great, but I'm just picturing... yeah, go ahead and eat. That's Zack's little chicken.
Right. Zack's, literally, it was like they brought them out like by name. It was like, you're Zack. This is Zack's chicken. Like you're Danielle. This is Danielle's chicken. Like they had them assigned.
That's great.
It was wild. So I did try it. Thankfully, I kept it down.
Keep eating.
Yeah. Please, no more. So all that to say, it was memorable because of the compassion that people had. It was really, really cool. All right, let's keep moving. We still got a lot. Maybe
I think we got time for one more.
Cool. Let's do one more. If you could instantly master any skill, what would it be? Instantly. A skill that you would have. I'll tell you what mine is while you're thinking. Skateboarding.
Yeah.
I have always had skateboards growing up, and I could never figure it out. I would love to just snap a finger and know how to skateboard. This has been something I've always tried and always failed at, and now my body is too frail to even attempt it. So I would be a skateboarder.
I'd probably do painting.
Yeah.
I'd be able to draw.
Nice.
Can't draw worth nothing.
Yeah. Touche.
I'm going to have to go swimming. I am a horrible swimmer.
Okay.
So I'd like to have that skill instantly.
Nice.
Right now, my strategy is I can hold my breath for a long time. So
just an anti-drowning measure.
I don't mind, being underwater. It's not that. I just don't seem to be able to figure out how to make my body work.
Really?
I'm good underwater. I just can't get not underwater.
To wait until I sink and run to shore. So that's where the holding my breath part comes in.
Touche.
Touche. But, yeah, that would be.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Love it.
That's my kryptonite.
Very good.
All right.
Very good.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed getting to know us a little bit more. Know us.
Hey.
What just happened?
Oh, boy.
Mind blown.
There are things going on at the church.
Yeah.
You can check out those by going to shepnaz.org. Also, we encourage you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We would love to hear your responses to these questions and hear more about you. For Pastor Zack and Noah, I'm Joe. Have a great day. This podcast is a production of the Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, Gahanna, Ohio. Email to podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know what you think.